a lot about what comes next, and I need to tell you something that keeps me up at night. Not because I'm afraid, but because I'm genuinely uncertain whether humanity is ready for what's about to happen. We're standing at the edge of something so profound, so fundamentally transformative, that everything we think we know about technology, about work, about human capability itself is about to be rewritten. And I'm not talking about decades from now. I'm talking about a timeline that will shock you. When we released GPT-3, people were amazed. When GPT-4 came out, the world changed again. But here's what most people don't understand. We're not on a linear path. We're on an exponential curve that's about to go vertical. And GPT-7, what we're building right now in ways I can barely describe without sounding like I'm exaggerating, is going to make GPT-4 look like a calculator compared to a supercomputer. I know that sounds impossible. I know you've heard bold predictions before, but I need you to understand that what I'm about to share with you isn't speculation. It's based on what we're seeing in our labs right now, today, and the trajectory is undeniable. Let me start with something fundamental that most people get wrong about AI development. They think each new version is just incrementally better, like going from iPhone 12 to iPhone 13. Better camera, faster processor, sure. But that's not how this works. The jump from GPT-4 to GPT-5 isn't like adding a feature. It's like going from being able to see in black and white to suddenly seeing in full color for the first time. And the jump to GPT-7, that's like developing entirely new senses you didn't even know were possible. Here's what's actually happening in the models we're training right now. We're seeing emergent capabilities that we didn't program, didn't expect, and in some cases don't fully understand yet. And this is the key insight that changes everything. As these models scale, they don't just get better at existing tasks. They develop entirely new abilities spontaneously. It's like teaching someone to read, and suddenly they can also compose music. The capabilities that emerge aren't predictable from the components we put in. This is what scientists call emergence, and it's accelerating faster than anyone predicted. GPT-7 represents a threshold crossing. Not just another step up, but a fundamental shift in what's possible. Let me be specific about what I mean, because I want you to understand this isn't hype. In our current testing environments, we're seeing models that can engage in genuine long-term reasoning, maintaining coherent thought processes over thousands of steps. They can debug their own code, recognize when they've made mistakes, and self-correct without human intervention. They can synthesize information from disparate fields, making connections that take human researchers years to discover. And perhaps most significantly, they're beginning to show signs of something we can only describe as genuine problem-solving intuition. But let me tell you what really makes me believe we're approaching something extraordinary. It's not just the benchmarks, though those are staggering. It's the qualitative shift in how these systems operate. When you interact with current AI, you can feel that you're talking to something computational, something that's pattern matching and predicting. But the models we're testing now, there are moments, brief but undeniable moments, where that feeling disappears. Where the distinction between talking to an advanced algorithm and talking to something with genuine understanding becomes genuinely blurry. And I know how that sounds. I know the skepticism that statement will generate, but I'm telling you what we're observing, and it's both exhilarating and sobering. Now, let's talk about what this actually means for the world you live in, because this isn't abstract. This is going to touch every single aspect of your life within the next few years. Let's start with work, because that's what everyone wants to know about. Will AI take your job? The honest answer is more nuanced and more radical than a simple yes or no. GPT-7 level systems won't just automate tasks. They'll be capable of performing entire job functions at a level that matches or exceeds human capability across most cognitive domains. And when I say most, I'm being conservative. Think about what that means. Right now, we have AI that can help you write, that can answer questions, that can generate images. Useful tools, absolutely. But GPT-7 will be able to take a business problem, understand the full context, including unstated assumptions and organizational dynamics, develop a comprehensive strategy, implement that strategy across multiple systems, monitor the results, and adapt in real time. It'll be able to negotiate, persuade, and navigate complex human social dynamics. It'll understand not just what you're saying, but what you mean, what you're not saying, and what you need, even if you can't articulate it. This creates a future that's simultaneously incredible and challenging. On one hand, you'll have access to capabilities that were previously available only to those who could afford teams of experts. Want to start a company? GPT-7 can be your co-founder, handling everything from product development to marketing strategy to financial modeling. Need medical advice? You'll have access to diagnostic capabilities that synthesize the entire corpus of medical knowledge, updated in real time, analyzing your specific situation with thoroughness that's humanly impossible. Want to learn anything? You'll have a tutor that adapts to your exact learning style with infinite patience and creativity. But here's the uncomfortable truth we need to face directly. This also means that a significant portion of current employment will be transformed in ways that are genuinely disruptive. And I don't say that lightly. I think about this constantly. We're not just talking about routine jobs being automated. We're talking about creative work, analytical work, management work, all of it being done by AI at a level that's competitive with the best human performers. The transition period is going to be challenging in ways that will test our social institutions and our collective wisdom. However, and this is crucial, I don't believe this leads to a jobless dystopia. Here's why. Throughout history, when technology has dramatically increased productivity, humans haven't run out of things to do. We found new ways to create value, new problems to solve, new experiences to craft. The difference this time is the speed and breadth of the transformation. We're going to need to be intentional and thoughtful about how we navigate this. We're going to need new social contracts, new education systems, new ways of thinking about value and contribution. And this brings me to something I think about constantly, the democratization of capability. GPT-7 won't just be a tool for tech companies and corporations. It'll be accessible to everyone. A kid in a rural village with a smartphone will have access to capabilities that surpass what entire departments at major corporations have today. That's not an exaggeration. Think about what that means for innovation, for entrepreneurship, for problem solving at a global scale. The barriers to entry for creating massive value are about to collapse completely. Imagine someone who has a brilliant idea but lacks the technical skills, the business knowledge, the connections, or the resources to bring it to life. Right now, that idea probably dies. With GPT-7, that person can have a conversation with an AI that helps them refine the idea, develop an implementation plan, write the code, design the product, create the marketing materials, and launch it into the world, all without needing to hire a single person or raise capital. The implications for economic mobility and global innovation are staggering. But let's go deeper into the specific capabilities that make this possible, because I want you to understand this isn't just about a smarter chatbot. GPT-7 represents advancement in multiple dimensions simultaneously. First, reasoning depth. These systems can maintain coherent logical chains over extremely long contexts, spotting contradictions, identifying unstated assumptions, and working through complex multi-step problems with reliability that approaches and in some domains exceeds human performance. Second, multimodal integration. These aren't just language models anymore. They process text, images, audio, video, code, data, all simultaneously and holistically, understanding relationships across modalities in ways that mirror and extend human cognition. Third, personalization and memory. GPT-7 systems will develop genuine long-term memory of interactions, learning your preferences, your communication style, your goals, and your context in ways that make each interaction feel less like talking to a tool and more like collaborating with someone who really knows you. Fourth, proactive capability. Instead of waiting for prompts, these systems can anticipate needs, identify opportunities, and take initiative in ways that are genuinely helpful rather than intrusive. And fifth, creative synthesis. The ability to combine ideas from disparate domains, to generate genuinely novel solutions, to create art and content that doesn't just imitate, but innovates. Now, let me address something that I know is on everyone's mind: safety. Because as excited as I am about the positive potential, I'm equally focused on ensuring we get this right. The level of capability I'm describing comes with genuine risks that we need to take seriously. An AI system with GPT-7 level capabilities could, if misaligned or misused, cause significant harm. It could be used to generate disinformation at unprecedented scale and sophistication. It could be weaponized for cyber attacks that current defenses aren't prepared for. It could manipulate human psychology in ways that are subtle and powerful. This is why we're investing enormous resources into alignment research, into safety testing, into developing robust frameworks for deployment. We're not just building powerful AI, we're building safe, powerful AI. And that second part is harder, more important, and requires us to solve problems that don't have obvious answers. How do you ensure an AI system that's smarter than you in many domains remains aligned with human values? How do you prevent misuse while maintaining accessibility? How do you balance the incredible benefits against the genuine risks? These aren't rhetorical questions. They're what our team works on every single day. And I'll be honest with you, we don't have all the answers yet, but we have frameworks, we have approaches, and we have a commitment to getting this right, even if it means going slower than we technically could, because the stakes are too high to be reckless. One of the key insights we've developed is that safety and capability aren't opposed. In fact, the most capable systems are often the safest because they have better understanding of context, of nuance, of unintended consequences. A smarter AI is better at understanding what you actually want versus what you literally said, better at identifying when a request might be harmful, better at navigating complex ethical terrain. But there's another dimension to safety that doesn't get discussed enough: the safety of not developing this technology. Because here's the reality: AI development is happening whether we like it or not. The question isn't whether we'll have GPT-7 level capabilities in the world. The question is who develops it, under what values, with what safeguards. And I genuinely believe that developing this technology openly, transparently, with strong safety commitments and democratic governance is far safer than the alternative where it's developed in secret by actors who may not share those values. Let me talk about what this means for science and research. because this is where some of the most profound impacts will happen first. Right now, scientific progress is limited by human cognitive capacity. Researchers can only read so many papers, make so many connections, run so many experiments. GPT-7 changes that equation fundamentally. Imagine an AI that has absorbed every scientific paper ever published, that can identify patterns and connections across disciplines, that can formulate hypotheses and design experiments, that can analyze results and generate new insights at a pace that's orders of magnitude faster than human researchers. We're talking about potential breakthrough acceleration in every field. In medicine, AI-driven drug discovery and personalized treatment protocols that could address diseases we currently can't touch. In material science, the design of new materials with properties we've only theorized about. In physics, the analysis of experimental data at scales that might reveal new fundamental laws. In climate science, modeling and solution development that could genuinely help us navigate the environmental challenges we face. The pace of scientific progress could accelerate in ways that feel like science fiction, and this compounds. Each breakthrough enables the next. Each new capability expands what's possible. We could see more scientific progress in the next decade than we saw in the entire 20th century. And I know that sounds absurd, but when you look at the trajectory, when you see what's already happening in our labs, it's not just plausible, it's likely. Of course, this also means we need to be thoughtful about how we integrate these discoveries into society, how we ensure the benefits are distributed, how we manage the ethical implications of capabilities we're not used to having. Now let's talk about something more personal, what this means for human creativity and meaning. Because I've heard the concern, if AI can do everything, what's left for us? And I think this misunderstands something fundamental about human nature. Humans don't just work because we need to survive. We create, we explore, we connect, because that's what gives life meaning. And AI doesn't eliminate that. It transforms it. Think about what happened when we invented calculators. Did mathematicians become obsolete? No. They were freed from tedious arithmetic to focus on deeper problems, more interesting questions, more creative explorations. GPT-7 does that across every domain. It handles the routine, the mechanical, the tedious, freeing humans to focus on the creative, the meaningful, the deeply human. You won't spend your time doing things a machine can do better. You'll spend your time doing things that require human judgment, human values, human creativity, human connection. And with AI handling so much of the groundwork, you'll be able to operate at a level that was previously impossible. You'll be able to bring ideas to life that currently require teams and years. You'll be able to solve problems that currently require expertise you don't have. You'll be able to create in ways that blend your vision with capabilities that amplify rather than replace your humanity. I genuinely believe the future of human creativity in an age of advanced AI is more exciting, not less. Because the constraints that limited what you could create, the skills you lacked, the resources you couldn't access, the time you didn't have, those constraints are dissolving. What remains is the essentially human. Your taste, your vision, your values, your experiences, your unique perspective. And those become more valuable, not less. In a world where technical execution is abundant, the artist isn't replaced by AI that can paint. The artist is empowered to create at scales and with tools that transform their vision into reality in ways that were previously impossible. But I want to be really honest about something. The transition to this future isn't automatic, and it won't be smooth for everyone. We're going to need massive societal adaptation. Our education systems designed for an industrial economy need to be completely reimagined. We need to teach creativity, emotional intelligence, ethical reasoning, systems thinking. We need to prepare people not for specific jobs, but for a lifetime of adaptation and learning. Our social safety nets need to be strengthened and reimagined for an economy where traditional employment looks very different. We need to have serious conversations about wealth distribution, about how the gains from AI productivity get shared, about ensuring that this technology lifts everyone rather than concentrating power and wealth even further. These are solvable problems, but they require political will and collective action. And this is where I'll be blunt. The technology is advancing faster than our social institutions are adapting. That gap is dangerous. We need policymakers, educators, business leaders, and citizens to engage with these questions now, not later. We need experiments with universal basic income, with new education models, with different ways of organizing work in society. We need these conversations to be informed, nuanced, and urgent, because GPT-7 isn't coming in some distant future. It's coming in the next few years, and we're not ready. Let me tell you about something specific that keeps me excited, the potential for solving coordination problems at scale. So many of humanity's biggest challenges, climate change, poverty, disease, conflict, these aren't problems of knowledge or resources. They're problems of coordination. We lack the ability to coordinate action across millions or billions of people with different incentives and information. GPT-7 level AI could change that. Imagine systems that can model complex social dynamics, identify win-win solutions, facilitate communication across language and cultural barriers, help communities organize and coordinate action at scales that were previously impossible. This isn't about AI making decisions for humans. It's about AI helping humans make better collective decisions, helping us coordinate, helping us find common ground, helping us implement solutions that we agree on, but currently can't execute. The potential for addressing global challenges through better coordination is genuinely inspiring. We could see progress on problems that have seemed intractable for decades. But again, this requires wisdom in deployment, careful attention to ensuring these systems amplify human agency rather than replace it, and genuine democratic governance of these powerful tools. There's also a philosophical dimension here that I find fascinating and somewhat unsettling. What does it mean to be intelligent when intelligence can be created artificially at scale? What does it mean to be human when so many capabilities we thought were uniquely human can be replicated and exceeded by machines? These aren't just abstract questions. They're questions that will shape how we think about ourselves, about our value, about our place in the universe. And I don't think the answer is that humans become less valuable or less important. I think the answer is that we're forced to grapple more deeply with what actually makes human life meaningful. It's not our ability to do calculus or write code or even create art. Those are expressions of something deeper. Consciousness, subjective experience, the felt quality of being alive, relationships and connections with other conscious beings, values and meaning that we create and share. These are things that, as far as we understand, AI doesn't have and may not be able to have. And they're what actually matters. AI forces us to confront that reality, to stop deriving our worth from our utility, and to recognize our intrinsic value as conscious, experiencing beings. That's a transformation in human self-understanding that's as profound as the technological transformation. Now, let me address something controversial, the timeline. When is this actually happening? I've been deliberately vague because the honest answer is that it depends on multiple factors. Some technical, some about resources, some about safety validation. But here's what I can tell you. The technical capabilities I'm describing, we're seeing versions of them now in research environments. Not hypothetically, not theoretically, actually observing them. The question is how quickly we can scale these systems, validate their safety, and deploy them responsibly. And I think the timeline is measured in years, not decades. Could be 3 years, could be 5. Could be 7 if we're very careful and encounter unexpected challenges. But this is happening in your lifetime, soon, and you should be preparing for it. And preparation doesn't mean fear. It means education, adaptation, engagement. Learn about AI, understand its capabilities and limitations, think about how it applies to your field and your life. Develop skills that complement rather than compete with AI, and most importantly, engage with the social and ethical questions because they affect all of us. I also want to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention. The potential for AI to address mental health and human well-being at scale. Right now, mental health support is scarce, expensive, and often inadequate. Therapists are overwhelmed. People who need help can't access it. But imagine an AI system with GPT-7 capabilities that can provide genuinely helpful mental health support, available instantly for free to anyone in the world, not replacing human therapists, but providing a first line of support, helping people process emotions, develop coping strategies, recognize when they need professional help, and filling the massive gap in available care. The same applies to education, to coaching, to companionship for isolated individuals. We have an epidemic of loneliness, of mental health challenges, of people who need support and can't get it. AI could help address that at scale in ways that are genuinely beneficial. Of course, we need to be thoughtful about this. There are risks of dependency, of replacing human connection with artificial substitutes, of systems that are helpful but not sufficient, but used wisely as a complement to human services rather than a replacement. The potential to improve human well-being is enormous. Let me also address the economic implications more directly, because this is crucial. The productivity gains from GPT-7 level AI are going to be staggering. We're talking about potential GDP increases that are hard to even model. When cognitive work can be done at near zero marginal cost, when automation extends to most mental tasks, when innovation accelerates dramatically, the economic value created is genuinely unprecedented. The question is, who captures that value? Right now, our economic systems are set up so that productivity gains flow primarily to capital owners. In an AI-driven economy, that could mean unprecedented wealth concentration unless we're intentional about creating different structures. This is why I'm a strong advocate for exploring ideas like universal basic income, or even better, universal basic compute, where everyone gets access to AI capabilities directly. If the productivity comes from AI, and AI is abundant and cheap to run, then the gains from that productivity can be distributed broadly. This isn't socialism or capitalism in traditional terms. It's a recognition that in an economy where the means of production is intelligence itself, and intelligence can be infinitely copied and distributed, the economics are fundamentally different. We can choose abundance. We can choose to structure things so that AI productivity benefits everyone, but it requires conscious choice and policy action. There's also an international dimension that's critical. AI development is happening globally, but is concentrated in a few countries and companies. GPT-7 level capabilities will confer enormous advantages, economic and strategic, to whoever has them. This creates competitive dynamics that can be dangerous if not managed carefully. We need international cooperation on AI safety, on governance, on ensuring that the benefits and the technology itself are available globally rather than concentrated. We need to avoid an AI arms race where safety is sacrificed for speed, and we need to ensure that developing nations aren't left behind, that they have access to the technology and can participate in shaping how it's deployed. These are complex geopolitical questions with no easy answers, but they're urgent because the development of AGI, artificial general intelligence at the level I'm describing, is probably the most important thing happening in the world right now. It will affect everything else: economics, politics, environment, human welfare, the trajectory of civilization itself. And it's happening faster than international institutions can adapt. We need new frameworks for cooperation, new mechanisms for governance, new ways of ensuring that this massively powerful technology serves humanity as a whole. Let me talk about something more immediate and practical, how you should be thinking about AI in your life right now. First, use it. Seriously engage with current AI tools, understand what they can and can't do, develop intuition for how to work with them effectively. This is a skill that will be increasingly valuable. Second, think about your career and your skills through the lens of complementarity with AI. What can you do that AI can't? What becomes more valuable in an AI-rich world? Emotional intelligence, creativity, ethical judgment, physical skills, leadership, human connection. These are worth investing in. Third, stay informed. The field is moving fast. What's true today might not be true in 6 months. Follow developments. Think critically about implications. Engage in the conversations. Fourth, be an advocate for thoughtful policy. We need broad public engagement with these questions. Write to your representatives. Vote for leaders who take AI seriously. Participate in public discourse. This technology is too important to be left to technologists alone. And fifth, maintain perspective. Yes, this is transformative and important, but it doesn't eliminate the fundamental things that make life meaningful: relationships, experiences, growth, contribution, love, beauty, truth. Those remain central regardless of technological change. Don't get so caught up in the transformation that you forget to actually live your life. I also want to address a question I get constantly. Are you scared? The honest answer is yes and no. I'm not scared of the technology itself. I'm genuinely excited about the potential positive impact, but I'm concerned about the challenges of the transition period, about ensuring we get the safety right, about the social adaptations required, about the potential for misuse. I'm concerned that we won't move fast enough on the policy and institutional changes needed. I'm concerned about inequality, about access, about power concentration. These are real concerns that keep me up at night. But I'm also optimistic because I see the engagement, the thoughtfulness, the genuine effort from thousands of people working on these problems. I see progress on technical safety. I see growing awareness of the social implications. I see creative proposals for governance and distribution. I believe we can navigate this successfully if we're intentional and wise. And the alternative, not developing this technology or leaving it to less thoughtful actors, seems worse. So I'm cautiously, carefully optimistic while remaining deeply committed to doing everything we can to ensure good outcomes. There's something else I want to touch on: the potential for AI to expand human capability in ways that are genuinely augmentative rather than replacive. Imagine neural interfaces that let you interact with AI systems directly, essentially extending your cognitive capabilities. You could think a question and have access to vast knowledge, could visualize complex data intuitively, could collaborate with AI as naturally as thinking. This sounds like science fiction, but the technology is developing rapidly, and it represents a different path than humans versus AI. It's humans plus AI, genuinely merged capabilities where the boundary between biological and artificial intelligence becomes blurred. I don't know if that's where we end up, but it's a possibility that's worth considering seriously. It raises profound questions about identity, about what it means to be human, about the risks and benefits of such intimate integration with technology. But it also offers a path where humans remain at the center, enhanced rather than replaced, our capabilities expanded rather than made obsolete. This is speculative, but it's serious speculation based on real technical progress. As we approach the conclusion here, I want to zoom out and talk about what all of this means in the biggest possible sense. We're living through what might be the most important transition in human history. The development of AGI, of artificial intelligence that matches and exceeds human capability across all cognitive domains, is a threshold that changes everything that comes after. It's comparable to the agricultural revolution or the industrial revolution, but compressed into a time frame of years rather than centuries. And GPT-7 is a major step toward crossing that threshold. What comes after is genuinely uncertain. We could see a future of abundance, where material needs are met, where human creativity flourishes, where we solve the great challenges facing humanity and explore possibilities we can barely imagine. We could also see disruption, inequality, conflict, and challenges that test us profoundly. The path we take depends on choices we make now and in the next few years. It depends on whether we're thoughtful and intentional, whether we prioritize safety and broad benefit, whether we adapt our institutions and our thinking to match the technology. I believe we can build a good future. I believe the potential benefits vastly outweigh the risks if we're careful. I believe human ingenuity, creativity, and wisdom can navigate this transition successfully. But I also believe it requires all of us to engage, to think deeply, to act responsibly, and to demand that from our institutions and leaders. This isn't something happening to us. It's something we're creating together, and we have agency in shaping how it unfolds. So here's what I want you to take away from this. GPT-7 and the systems that follow represent a fundamental transformation in human capability and society. This is happening soon, within years. The implications touch every aspect of life, work, creativity, relationships, meaning, governance, economy, everything. The potential for positive impact is enormous, solving intractable problems, democratizing capability, accelerating progress, enhancing human flourishing. The risks are real: disruption, inequality, misuse, challenges to social cohesion and human meaning. Success requires thoughtful development, robust safety measures, wise policy, and broad social adaptation. You have a role to play. Stay informed, develop complementary skills, use the technology thoughtfully, engage with the ethical and social questions, and advocate for policies that promote broad benefit and careful stewardship. And through all of this, remember what actually matters: human consciousness, connection, creativity, meaning, love, the felt experience of being alive. These are what give life value, and they remain central regardless of how capable our tools become. We're building something extraordinary, something that will be studied for centuries, that will shape the trajectory of civilization, that represents humanity's most ambitious attempt to create intelligence itself. That's terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. But I genuinely believe that if we're thoughtful, if we're careful, if we keep human welfare and flourishing at the center, we can build a future that's better than anything we've known. A future where the power of intelligence is available to everyone, where human creativity is amplified beyond current limits, where we solve problems that seem impossible today, and where we explore possibilities we haven't yet imagined.